How to study English and learn fast, especially if you study English alone. Watch this video until the end because I even prepared an exercise that you can implement as soon as you finish this lesson. If you don't know me very well, hello, I'm Teacher Prix, and I'm going to help you talk to anyone, anywhere, anytime in English. Make sure to subscribe to my channel, yes, because every week I post different kinds of English lessons to help you become a better and more confident English speaker. So here we go. I know that many of you study English alone. And let me tell you something. I went through the same. I had to study English alone and I learned fast. Nowadays, I help thousands and thousands of people from all over the world to achieve English fluency. And I know you can do it. You just need the right strategies. Now, at this level, at an intermediate level, this is the level I typically help here on my channel. Learning fast will depend entirely on your dedication, effort, and the right use of tools. Because technology nowadays will serve you and will provide you with many different tools, many different websites and apps and books and videos and many kinds of formats to serve you. But how you use it, that is not so clear. So just because it is free doesn't mean it's good for you, doesn't mean you should use it. So it's important to pay attention to the content you use and how you use the information the internet gives you, especially this video right now. Understanding how to use these strategies and putting them together will be responsible for how fast you learn. Because we all have the potential to learn fast. It all comes down to how we use our potential, okay? That is a very important thing. Now, how fast do you want to learn? I'm asking you this question. It's important that you have this very clear. How fast do you want to learn? Now, Priscilla, be realistic, okay? Come on. I'm not saying that here in 1 month you're going to be all awesome, amazing. No, that's not going to happen. But how fast do you want to achieve English fluency? In 6 months? Possible. Realistic? Great. Not perfection. I'm not talking about that. You will still make mistakes in 6 months. You will still not know words in 6 months, but you will be much, much better. So be realistic with how fast do you want to learn, because by answering this question, you will also realize how much work you will have to put in, because nothing comes free in life. The only thing we have for free is life. You were born, there you go. You have life, my friend. Now you gotta get up and fight. So your answer to how fast you want to learn will determine how much effort, how much energy, how much you have to sacrifice to achieve English fluency, especially studying alone. And you know, there's an article on the university, on the website of the University of Yale. And this article is very interesting because it discusses the most efficient ways to learn a second language, okay? I will leave a link to this article so that you can read it. And it talks about the most efficient ways to learn a second language or any other language you want to learn, the third, the fourth, the fifth, you name it. And the number one thing they talk about is consistency. See? How fast do you want to learn? That will impact your consistency, because if you set an unrealistic goal, something that is extremely difficult, you will become inconsistent. That's why we have to be honest. I believe in 6 months you can unlock your fluency because I work with the students like that. I help people do that. I did that on myself. But do we stop in 6 months? No, we have to continue. There's more work to be done. Okay, so think about that. How many hours a day are you willing to put in the work? Realistically speaking, what I recommend my students in my academy is 45 minutes to 1 hour and a half. That is a healthy amount of time for you to study. But do you want more, my friend? You go for it, okay? About 2 hours a day, fantastic. Priscilla, I want to study for 3 hours a day. I want to study for 4 hours a day. Can I do it? You can, but my recommendation would be break this down okay, between different parts of the day. I can study for 2 hours in the morning and then 2 hours at night. If you want to do it, it's not my best recommendation, but if you want, because you really want to be fast, 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours at night, or 2 hours in the afternoon, 2 hours at night, break it down. And you have to be very careful, because the more hours you put in, the more you risk suffering from learning burnout, exhaustion. Your brain will melt, okay, because you're doing too much. So that is a problem. And for people who worry about forgetting information, if you suffer from burnout, you will forget more, even though you study more. So I prefer less. 1 hour and a half is already a lot, okay? As an adult, it's a lot of time. But if you want to do more, you make the decision. But be careful. Studying more does not mean you will remember more, because resting, sleeping well, that's the moment when you actually learn. When you sleep, that's when the memorization process is triggered. So you need to rest well to learn fast. Another problem in our modern society, we don't rest anymore. We're always glued to the phone. So that's another problem, but that's a subject for another lesson, okay? Now, the method, and I will talk about the 3 steps. Don't worry, I'm just making these very important comments because they're part of the lesson. I will share the 3 steps, and I will share one recommendation for you to implement right away, okay? And finally, the method you choose will also impact how fast you learn, okay? Guys, if you choose this poorly, you will have poor results. That's why the internet is a dangerous arena. There's a lot of information, lots of methods. But if you make a poor choice, you will have poor results. So it's important to pay attention to what strategies you want to follow. And I imagine that I am not the only teacher you watch. There are more teachers, competent teachers you watch and follow. And we are all in this arena sharing strategies. Be careful, because if you make a confusion of all these awesome ideas, you will get lost. So this is also a problem of students who study alone. You know, in my academy, in my program, my methodology focuses on two important codes: habits and emotions. That's the foundation of my methodology. Understanding emotions and understanding habits. If you change your habits, if you improve your performance, your results will consequently improve. And if you pay attention to your emotions, and if you work on your emotions in the process, you will also feel the difference more easily. In addition to that, you have to, in my methodology, I eliminate translation by immersing in the language with different stimuli: visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. So this is the combination of my method: brain, the emotions and habits, different kinds of stimuli: visual, auditory, and kinesthetic, and eliminating translation so that I can learn by association, through association, which is one of the steps that I'm going to recommend, okay? I open registration a few times a year. Right now it's not open, but this is something that I do with my students in my academy. I also teach some strategies around here because this is what I believe in. This is what I use in my students. This is what I used on myself, and I still do to this day, okay? But now, step number 1. Follow the virtuous circle of fluency. You study alone. You must have this very, very clear, okay? Super crystal clear virtual circle of fluency. This would be easier for you to remember. And I recommend right now you take a screenshot, okay? Take a screenshot right now of this image and put it somewhere. Print this out and have it somewhere, because you follow this. I'm telling you, give this a chance, okay? Each circle, each cycle, I like to call this cycle, okay? But I put circle because of the circle, but it's a cycle. And every time you think about studying, you will think of a cycle. And you're going to repeat the cycle for 7 to 14 days. And then you will change your cycle. You will start a new cycle, and then a new cycle, and then a new cycle. And every cycle will follow the virtuous circle of fluency. In the center, subject of the week. And I'm not talking about the grammar subject of the week because it's not in the center. Huh? Think about this, okay? This will help you understand. I'm using visual now to help you see and memorize visual information. So at the center, we have the subject of the week. And everything that you do in English will revolve around the subject of the week. And this subject is supposed to be something for you to talk about. It's a conversation subject. You're not a beginner anymore. You're an intermediate student trying to be fluent, trying to achieve a higher level. So you need to think of conversation. You cannot think of grammar or vocabulary anymore. That's wasting time. Conversation. You want to be fluent, think about conversation. With my students in my academy, Module 1 is emotional intelligence. Module 2, important people in my life. Module 3, detective stories and how they impact our brain. Module 8, I don't remember all the modules right now. Gossiping, how gossiping impacts our lives. Subjects, things that I can talk about. Things that are intriguing, that instigate my critical thinking. So each cycle will focus on one subject. Okay, that's the subject of the week. And then you're going to use the internet in your favor, and you will find things to read about it, things to listen about it. You will write about this subject. You will also study vocabulary, but how, Priscilla? Well, in the reading and in the listening, because you will find many words in the materials you choose on the internet that you read and listen about. The subject of the week. You will study grammar. Now, the grammar part is the one that you can choose independently, okay? You can choose a grammar subject independently, or you can pay attention to the material you read or listen, and you can pick one grammar subject based on what you read and what you listen. Okay, this is a little bit more difficult. This is easier for teachers to do. So you can choose a grammar point independently, okay? Or you can pay attention to what you read or what you listen and then pick something that you can recognize and review and study. But the grammar part is the one that you can choose independently, okay? Because you can always include grammar in your practice. So let's say you chose how to talk about different sources of energy. You know, this is a very current subject. Many people are discussing alternative options of energy, you know? So you can read about it, you can listen about it, and you can decide to use a different grammar point. You can talk about modal verbs and possibilities. Because see, options, alternative options of energy, possibilities, modal verbs, okay? So you can always connect grammar point with any subject, okay? That's piece of cake. And that is your cycle. Every time you sit down to study alone, think of the virtuous circle of fluency. And this subject, the alternative options of energy, study for 7 days to 14 days. It depends on how often you study. The more time you have, the faster you will finish your circle, okay? That's a very important thing. This is basically what I teach in my study plan cycle, okay? My study plan cycle teaches this in detail, how you organize your routine, how you create cycles, how you use the internet in your favor so that you can have better results, okay? If you're interested, the link is in the description of this video. I know it'll be very useful for you. But let's keep going to step number 2. Learn new vocabulary. And there's a mistake in vocabulary, okay? I saw it. Learn new vocabulary through association, okay? Guys, at this level, I don't know how you started your journey, okay? I don't know who was your teacher. I don't know what kind of materials you used. But if you want to master vocabulary at this level, you need to be smart, okay? You need to use your brain in your favor. And the best way to do that is to use what you already know, okay? And that's what we mean by association. Oof, how do I get out of this? Okay. Oh man, I think I skipped a page. Okay, here. Learn new vocabulary through association. It didn't change. I changed it on the folder, but it didn't change here. So it is what it is. Okay. So expand your vocabulary and take it from an intermediate level to an advanced level through association. So basically that means that use what you know. Don't only focus on, oh, okay, I'm going to learn new words. Okay, go back to the words you already know and learn more polished ways to describe the things you already know. Okay, many students are so worried about understanding new advanced words and they ignore what they know. And there's a thing in the brain that makes it easier for you to learn when you associate with information that is already there. That's why this step is so important when studying vocabulary. And this helps you eliminate translation, which is a nightmare at this level because many people will slow down because they're trying to think of what to say, but they're doing that in their language. So when you practice this style of studying, it gets easier to study English and it gets easier to learn more quickly because you condition your brain to associate. Hey, use what you know. Oh, okay, so here's a new connection. So you're always creating connections to one information you already have saved in your brain. Okay, so this is important, and I recommend you spend time working on synonyms, working on expressions to describe the same thing. Okay, that is very, very important. Mariana says, I'm studying with your study plan. It's very useful and it's easy to study alone. Thank you, Mariana. I appreciate it. It's nice to know when people share this feedback about the study plan cycle. It is very useful. So here's an example. I had to cancel my dentist's appointment because I was sick. Cancel. Everybody knows cancel. If you are an intermediate student, you should know. A beginner? Okay, no, but an intermediate student should. So here, let's learn through association. Okay, I put the example that I know, and next to the example that I know, I put a new word that means the same thing. And here I have a phrasal verb. I had to call off my dentist's appointment because I was sick. There you go. Learning through association. And this will happen to many adjectives, basic adjectives that you learned. Okay? Basic verbs you learned, basic nouns you learned. You will see that the more you advance, the more you will find, the more you will come across, you will come across new options, new ways to describe very basic ways. And this is what advanced students need to do. And advanced students start doing that at an intermediate level. So this step is essential, and you can do this in every practice you have. Every time you practice vocabulary, listening, reading, you can include this, okay? And finally, anywhere, anytime, immersion. Immersion is also one of the most common suggestions given by experts. How do you immerse from home? Because students immediately associate immersion with traveling. Okay, so start spreading the news. I am going to Australia. No, you're not going to Australia. Stay with me, okay? You can immerse from home. Here are 6 recommendations, okay? Number 1, listen to all. This is very important, my favorite one. Listen to audio files in English as soon as you wake up. Woke up, listen in English. And before going to sleep. These are important moments of your day to work with your subconscious mind, okay? I strongly recommend you do this. Follow this practice. Before going to sleep, when you're sleepy, getting tired, listen to something in English. Woke up, listen to something in English. And here, please, please, nothing negative, nothing harmful, nothing stressful. Because your brain is very open, your subconscious mind is very open, so you want to send information that is positive. Okay, I am a master practitioner of neurolinguistic programming. I've studied a lot of techniques to work on the conscious and subconscious mind. So I'm telling you, it can be a meditation, it can be a prayer, it can be a conversation with God, it can be a funny video, something healthy, no horror, no news, okay, bad news, wars and problems, violence, no. But listen to audios in English before you wake up, before you go to sleep, and after you wake up, okay? Another immersion recommendation, change all your gadgets to English, the settings, that's what I mean. Change all the settings, cell phone, computer, television, platform services, streaming services to English. You should see English all the time. That's my goal with the immersion tips here. 3, set a time to practice thinking in English. This is not natural to us. We're not Americans. So you need to intentionally think in English. So set a timer, set a time of the day, and practice this. Right here. Read in English instead of your language, and play games in English, video games, not translation games. In English, but different games. There are many games. I will come back here in another video to talk about games, good games you can play, okay? And finally, cycle challenge. This is what I do in my study plan cycle, okay? This is basically what I teach in my study plan. I don't know where my study plan is, but okay, here. This is basically what I do, okay, in my study plan. But what am I gonna do here? I chose a subject for you, okay? The Olympic Games, because right now we all know the Olympic Games are happening in France, okay? So your subject of the week for your cycle is the Olympic Games, but you have to do the work, okay? Your reading, your listening exercise, I want you to search for a video on YouTube about the history of the Olympic Games. Then I want you to read about the importance of the Olympic Games. Google the importance of the Olympic Games. Why are the Olympic Games important? Okay, that's what I want you to search. How the Olympic Games impact society, I want you to write. But after you listen and read about the first 2 ones, okay, follow the sequence. Number 4, vocabulary. Olympic Games, sports and related words. Study the vocabulary. Search for words connected to the Olympic Games. Grammar, simple present and simple past. I have lessons here on my channel. I want you to study them. You will always study them no matter what your level is, okay? And speaking. You always have to speak when you study alone, especially if you want to teach your brain that what you see, what you listen can also be used to express yourself in English. So here there are 5 questions. I want you to record yourself and speak for at least 1 minute answering each one. What do you know about the history of the Olympic Games? This is the last part of the cycle. Has your country ever hosted an Olympic game? How was it? Would you like the Olympic Games to be hosted in your country? Why? Why not? How do you think the Olympic Games benefit society? What can we learn from the athletes that participate in the Olympic Games? What are your favorite sports? Have you ever practiced them? Why do you like them? How often do you watch them? Guys, I'm giving you a cycle for you to study for the next 2 weeks. You want more? Get my study plan cycle. But other than that, I ask you to help me. Share this lesson with a friend, because I know it can help many, many people who study English alone and want to learn fast. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.